On a summer evening in 1947, a fogging truck rolls slowly down a suburban American street, and the children run after it, laughing, straight into the cloud. The white mist settles on the lawns, the picnic tables, the open windows, the kids. Painted on the side of the truck are 3 letters, D.D.T, and everyone has been told the same thing. It is perfectly safe. It is, in fact, good for you. Sinister business, bankrupt empire. It did not start as a villain. In 1939, a Swiss chemist discovered that a compound called D.D.T was astonishingly good at killing insects, and during the Second World War it became a miracle. Dusted onto soldiers, refugees, and whole cities, it stopped epidemics of typhus and malaria in their tracks, saving an enormous number of lives. The chemist won a Nobel Prize. For a moment, D.D.T really was one of the most beneficial chemicals ever made. But when the war ended, the chemical companies had enormous factories and no battlefield. So they invented a new customer, the American household. D.D.T was sold for the kitchen, the garden, the nursery wall. One famous 1947 advertisement showed a singing cartoon, housewife, cow, apple, and potato, all chirping the same jingle. D.D.T is good for me. There was almost no real testing of what it did to the people it was sold to. There was only the slogan, "Better living through chemistry." To prove how safe it was, the companies and their boosters did something extraordinary. They sprayed it on people. At public beaches and swimming pools, fog machines blasted D.D.T directly over crowds of swimmers and sunbathing children. Demonstrators ate it in front of reporters. Suburban kids chased the fog trucks down the block like an ice cream van. The message was simple and cheerful. If it were dangerous, would we be spraying it on your children at the pool? There was just one problem the advertisements never mentioned. D.D.T does not break down. It lingers for years, and it builds up. It washed off the lawns into the rivers where tiny organisms absorbed it, then the fish that ate them, then the birds that ate the fish. With every step up the food chain, the dose multiplied. And in the birds, it did something quietly catastrophic. It made their eggshells too thin to survive. Across America, the great birds began to vanish. The bald eagle, the peregrine falcon, the brown pelican, all crashed toward extinction as their eggs collapsed under the weight of the parents, and the waste was worse than the spray. Montrose Chemical, the largest D.D.T maker in the country, quietly piped and dumped its toxic waste into the ocean off Los Angeles. Decades later, hundreds of thousands of leaking barrels would be found scattered across the seafloor. In 1962, a marine biologist named Rachel Carson laid all of it out in a book called Silent Spring. She described a future spring with no birdsong because the birds were gone. She did not call for banning every chemical. She called for honesty, testing, and caution. The book was meticulous, calm, and devastating. And it terrified the chemical industry because she had the evidence and she could write. The industry's response told you everything. Instead of answering her science, they attacked the scientist. They called her hysterical, an alarmist, a spinster more concerned with birds than people. One chemical company threatened to sue her publisher to stop the book. Another wrote a mocking parody imagining a world starving without pesticides. They spent a fortune trying to bury a single careful woman rather than admit what their product was doing. It backfired. The attacks only drew attention to the book, and Silent Spring became a sensation. President Kennedy ordered a scientific review, which largely confirmed what Carson had written. A movement was born almost overnight. Ordinary people began asking a question the cheerful advertisements had spent 20 years telling them never to ask. What exactly are they spraying on us? In 1972, the brand new Environmental Protection Agency banned D.D.T in the United States. Slowly, the birds came back. The bald eagle, once nearly gone, returned to the skies. Rachel Carson did not live to see it. She died of cancer in 1964, 2 years after her book, while the companies were still calling her a fraud. The honest part of the story is that D.D.T did save millions of lives from malaria, and even today there is real debate about its careful use against disease. But that was never the scandal. The scandal was a business that took an untested chemical, sprayed it on children at the pool to sell it, dumped its poison in the sea, and then tried to destroy the one person with the courage to read the evidence out loud. The miracle, it turned out, came with a cloud. Bankrupt empire. Sinister business. The dark side of business. Subscribe.